This is the Marvel Masterworks vidcast, True Believers, where we cover all of the adventures in the Marvel Universe. From the wanderings of the Green Goliath, to the chaotic offices of the Daily Bugle, to the grim alleyways of Hell's Kitchen, and to the top of Avengers Tower. With your hosts, Adam and Chris.
Welcome to another episode of Marvel Masterworks, the podcast and vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Chris. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Struggling with a cold, but powering through it. And when it came time to talk X-Men, I had to fight through and get on this podcast with you because talking X-Men is of high priority. Especially with our topic tonight, which the bulk of it is going to be X-Men 97, the continuation on Disney Plus of the original X-Men animated series. That is, I think, fair to say, my and Chris's version of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And so we're going to discuss the first 3 episodes that dropped on Disney Plus, that are currently on Disney Plus. And so if you haven't watched them yet, why? And then do that, and then come back and watch and listen to this podcast. But before that, as we always do, when there's news regarding the IP we're talking about, Chris and I discuss it. So, Chris, it looks like the X-Men are getting a long-awaited refresh, revamp, new direction, whatever you want to call it, in the comic books. So give us a little bit of details on what's going on.
The X-Men are finally leaving Krakoa, which I've been harping on about this for a while. Krakoa was not for me, but now they're done with it. So we have 3 different books coming out from 3 different creative teams. I think this is pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to be interested in all of them, but I want to give all of them a shot, at least for the number ones.
Sure.
Do you want to run down the list of what we got?
Please, yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so we got The Uncanny X-Men, which will be written by fan favorite Gail Simone, with David Marquez on the art. This one is going to be special.
Yeah.
Simone is talent.
Simone is fantastic.
Yes.
Especially on teams. She's
ensembles.
very good. Yes.
And she loves the X-Men. Always a plus.
Yes, it seems that way from her tweets and posts online. And also, Marquez did some work on the last iteration of Batman and Superman comic. Not the current one, but the previous one.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
And it was the art was really good.
Nice.
It was during the Batman Who Laughs period. Remember when that thing was going on?
Oh, okay. I kind of checked out at that time for a bit.
So it might not be the most recent one prior, but the one before that. Anyway, he did a stint on Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I'm sure I've seen some art from him too. I mean, teaming with Gail Simone, I'm sure that's good anyway.
And the art was really good, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'm excited for that pairing.
I like the team they've got too. So they have on this team, it's Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine. That's a cool team. But this book, from what I understand, doesn't take place like in New York or anything. These guys are doing their own thing. So that's still cool. They're not in Krakoa, but they're doing their own thing.
Right.
One of the other books is Exceptional X-Men by Eve Ewing and Carmen Carnero. I'm probably butchering their names. I'm sorry. Carmen Carnero on the art.
Okay.
But so I'm very familiar with Carmen's art. It is fantastic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like hers. Now their team, I don't recognize who's on this team. I should have looked this up before we started, but I didn't.
There's 2 people that I recognize. Emma and Kitty.
We think it's Kitty.
Well, the only reason I know it's Kitty is because she was in the trailer.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah.
I'm not that good. That's why I know, because it was her in the trailer.
I like the cool mutant thing they do with their fingers.
Yeah, that's really
that's pretty neat. I like that. And then this is the book I'm most excited for. I love Jed McKay. So
Yeah, yes, that's
the
definitely. Yeah.
I believe the main book of this is going to be X-Men by Jed McKay with Ryan Stegman on the art. And so they have an infographic with all these on them, with the creators and the teams. And this is actually drawn by Ryan Stegman. So you get a really good look at his art just from this
Yeah,
preview thing.
yeah,
And I'm very excited for this book. This has, I guess, Magneto's the leader. You have Juggernaut, Magic, Psylocke, Beast, Cyclops. I forget his name. I think his name is Quentin.
yeah.
He's like a newer character. I think he was introduced in Schism, if I remember
I
correctly.
think you're right. Yeah.
I thought it was cool in that. And then it has this other character I'm not incredibly familiar with. I believe she was the one introduced in it's called Marvel Future Fight.
I believe so.
I think her name is
Rings-
Luna Snow or something.
Yeah.
And she's also in that new Marvel 6-on-6 online game that they're doing.
All right. Okay.
And it's called Rivals.
Yes.
So that's what we got going on, and the arc is called From the Ashes, A New Beginning, I guess, or that's the tagline.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me too, because I'm wondering if like what kind of reboot is this? Like, are we leaving everything behind in Krakoa, or some stuff coming with them? Like, I would imagine the resurrection is done. There's no more resurrection pods.
Right.
That's really cool. First of all, there's stakes again.
Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering what else that entails. So I'm excited.
But not that I want any core X-Men to die or anything. But,
Hey,
just the
it's their
threat that
time. It's their time.
the threat that they might is good enough. At least there's.
Knowing they could.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I'll give every one of these books a try. Obviously, I'm most interested in Uncanny and X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
I have to put the and in there because otherwise it's just one title. I'll check out Exceptional. I'll give it an arc and then go from there. Just because the team is so unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, that being an unfamiliar team, I guess they're taking a swing on that one. But that one also, from our time, has the most familiarity because that's mutants dealing with humans again and the oppression and all that stuff.
Right.
So I think that might feel the most at home, despite having a different team.
Yeah, that's fair. So that's why I'm going to definitely give it a shot, at least the first arc.
And Charles isn't on these teams. Now that I'm thinking about it.
That's a very good point. Wonder what's up with that. But also, there's some solo series that are also in the offing, right? Storm is getting. Now I don't know if they're ongoing or minis, but there's a mix. We haven't been told what's an ongoing and what's not. But Storm is one. Wolverine was mentioned. Now, Wolverine is obviously going to be an ongoing.
Yeah, he always has his own title.
Whether it's a continuation of the previous Wolverine book that's currently happening, or if it gets a fresh number one, remains to be seen. But it'll be interesting to see what the creative team on that is when that's announced.
All we know is Greg Capullo's doing the art.
Well, which is in its own right pretty spectacular because I'm familiar with Capullo from his runs on Spawn and of course Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And his art is good, so I think he'll do good work with Wolverine. So I'm looking forward to that. Storm's going to be interesting, like I said. I think Jean Grey has her own book as well.
That's interesting. I didn't see that.
I think I saw a Jean Grey book. X-Force is a thing, of course. So
I actually really like X-Force. The idea of them, I think it's a really neat concept.
I do too.
It's kind of like the X-Men, the mutant assassins, if you will.
I don't know who's on that team. I'm willing to bet Deadpool's going to be there. Just a hunch.
I would like to see Laura lead that team.
Yes, Wolverine's daughter.
Yes, because I didn't see Laura on these teams, and I'm kind of wondering where she's at.
But imagine Deadpool, given the movie, will probably will probably
He's
be
been on the
front.
team before.
Right, exactly. So a lot of interesting stuff coming, and this kicks off in the summertime, right?
Yeah, I believe it's May or June.
Right. So a lot to look forward to. We're going to give, for sure, the two books, coverage, and maybe to be fair, we'll give the first one an arc, and we'll cover it here. Exceptional, as well. We'll give it an arc, and then if we both like it, we'll continue. If not, we'll let it be. But we are going to cover this new era of X-Men comics on the show, so be on the lookout for that from Chris and I. I'm very excited to cover that with you from the ground up, so to speak. And so far, we haven't covered many X-Men comics on here, but that's fixing to change this summer, so looking forward to that. So we'll have more for you when those books start rolling out. We'll have coverage of them here, so stay tuned for that.
Excellent coverage.
Indeed. I wasn't going to go there, but you did, so we'll go with the puns.
I do what I can.
Yeah, we'll do it all. And so, with that being said, that's all we've got in terms of comics news right now. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll cover the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? It's the Emerald Enthusiast. For all of your multiverse viewing and listening needs, check out our shows, which include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, the Marvel Universe, and the DC Universe, including the Emerald Echo podcast. You can check us out on Podbean, and remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. That's the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. From the first podcast to the last.
And we're back, and as promised, let's talk some X-Men 97. A long time coming, this revival. It feels like we've known about it for 2 years now.
I think longer. Because it was rumored, then they announced it, and we heard nothing for so long.
I think we've been, as fans of the property, we've been daydreaming about it for a decade or so, or 2 decades. So that's what I mean when I say it's a long time coming. In our minds, it's been even longer than it has been. And what you're saying, it makes sense that we didn't hear anything for a while because that's just the way animation works. It takes a shitload of time. So it's a much longer waiting game than something in the live action space. But here it is now. Chris, just before we get into the nitty gritty of the specifics of the episodes, what was your leading into like days before, hours before? What was your anticipation level?
Disgusting. It was disgusting. You know how much I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, we talked about it privately on the DMs. I just want to tell the people.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I think that this somehow ended up being one of my most anticipated things that I don't know what else will match my anticipation this year other than Deadpool and Wolverine. That's how excited I was for this show. And I'd watched the final season of the original show like a couple weeks before this, just kind of running through a little bit while I was in the background. I was doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was counting the minutes, the hours. I was waiting. I stayed up till 2 a.m. my time to watch it.
I did that for the first 2, and then episode 3, I'm like, yeah, I can't. I gotta go to sleep. I'm old.
I did it for 3 too.
But I was partially sick, so there's that too.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Yeah, but yeah, I was insanely excited.
Yeah, I was too. Like I said, to me, this the original show was my first experience understanding of the X-Men and what it was and what these characters were. Um, a lot of my Marvel knowledge from the get-go came from this show and the Spider-Man show from the 90s. So to have this coming back in the midst of a comic direction I wasn't too fond of, and not having an X-Men movie for a couple of years because the reboot and everything, them eventually joining the MCU. This was I was very anticipated for this, and the night before, I did stay up. I had an extra couple of espressos, and while I was waiting up on Twitter, saw a lot of X-Men cosplay on my timeline, which is not a bad thing. A lot of rogues.
I have seen a lot of rogues.
And a couple of Jean Greys, but more rogue. But I was really excited. And spoiler alert, overall, expectations exceeded for me. For sure. So let's get right into it. The first two episodes kind of feel like one big thing. The first two of the three.
Yeah, but so does, when you watch the original series, a lot of the episodes are made that way too, so that also felt like home. Everything is just closely
No, but what
connected.
I'm saying is, how do you want to cover? You want to cover each episode individually, or you want to go like all one?
Oh, no, we could do them as one and then the third. That's fine.
Okay, yeah. All right. So take it away. Give us the 411 on what's going on here.
So if you don't remember what happened in the finale, Professor Xavier basically gets assassinated, and they have to try to fix him. It doesn't work out. He ends up going with Lilandra, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So in this, they kind of skip all that, and they just go straight to he was assassinated, and that's fine. And you're in the first episode, we're dealing with kind of the fallout from that, and a group has acquired Sentinel tech and are using it as weapons, and the X-Men have to find out where these came from, and it leads them on a wacky road to Master Mold.
Yeah, the Friends of Humanity is the name of the group, right?
I think that's who they were, yeah. I've seen the episodes a couple times now, but certain details, I think I get too excited in certain details.
They're not very friendly, I will say that.
No, they are. They're definitely less friendly than they were in the original series.
Right.
And with them going to Master Mold, you just see a bunch of cool character moments, action. It's just a great time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the second part of the episode, which is the second one, has more of that. But we get something I never thought I'd see. We get the Trial of Magneto story.
Yeah.
And they fit that whole thing in 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, I will say that the pacing was really good.
I don't know how they're doing it. It's astonishing in a way.
It's pretty crazy.
It is.
Because you're getting a lot, but it never feels like, at least for me, never felt like I was overwhelmed.
No, it has a nice flow to it, and it's got a nice mix of action and story, and the character moments are not lost at all. Everything still just works. I'm so impressed. Spoiler alert for me too. I'm so impressed with this show. But that's the first two episodes.
That opening battle really gets you into the swing of things. Like,
it does.
Seeing the X-Men take charge and do their thing.
And you also get so we knew going into this the characters were slightly redesigned.
Yeah.
They have more of a streamlined look now. The lines are cleaner. They're brighter in some spots. They look better. But I think that this was a great showcase to show you that this is it's a continuation, but this is a new version where these characters can do more because the animation can allow it.
Right.
Also, the creative minds at work here, like the Cyclops stuff is perfect.
Yeah, Cyclops is pretty badass.
I didn't even know he could do some of these things. Like him moving around using the optic blast. I didn't know that was a thing.
That was pretty cool. Me neither.
It was cool. And you see him do some hand-to-hand stuff. Like, Cyclops is a badass in this.
Yeah. He's the leader you expect him to be.
Exactly.
So if you've been disillusioned for years in the way he's been handled, in movies and stuff.
Even in animation.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine and the X-Men, that's not Cyclops.
Yeah, it's Wolverine's show. So you definitely get your fix of Cyclops goodness here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, aside from the action that starts us off, the characters are just pitch perfect to what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it felt like you were home, like I think you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, along the way, there's some new wrinkles that bleed into the two episodes. One being the status of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
In that she is with child, Scott's child. And there's one bit that I got to call out where a portion of the team is off doing the X-Menning, and or I think they're at the trial.
The trial.
Observing.
Trying to keep the peace.
Yeah, nothing gets out of hand from both sides, the humans and Magneto. And Wolverine's at the mansion, and Jean comes in, and her water breaks, and she's like, "He's here, Logan," and meaning the baby, like, let's go. And Logan springs off the couch, and is like, "Who? Apocalypse?" And he pops his claws, and I literally had to pause because I was pissing my pants laughing.
I love that it was Apocalypse that he was worried about too. Like, not any lesser villain. He went straight to the top.
Went straight to the
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
It was good.
And like she's getting his keys, she's getting his coat, she's putting it on him mentally because he's like frozen in time, right? Kind of in shock or whatever. So that was cool. That was pretty funny. We also get the scene where Rogue, via absorbing a doctor's an OBGYN's knowledge, delivers the child.
Did you like that?
It was weird more than anything else.
It was weird. I didn't mind it, but I was like, I didn't know this was a thing, but I guess that makes sense.
Because then I'm like, wait a minute, but what if her skin somehow gets exposed? She touches,
Well, no, that didn't. But just the idea of her gaining all the knowledge to deliver a child.
Yeah.
Because then I kind of think, well, if she just touches Wolverine, couldn't she have told Wolverine, "Hey, guess what? This is your past."
Yeah, I guess.
I don't. Maybe that's looking too much into it, and I'm not complaining about it. I like it. It just it threw me a bit.
Yeah, it was a little awkward. Yeah, for sure.
I also didn't think they were going to go full on childbirth in animation, and they did.
Yeah, they went there. I mean, the umbilical cord you see it falling off.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. This
shows all right, it's a thing. It's factual.
Yeah, it's fine. It just didn't expect it.
We didn't see the cutting, which was,
maybe that's where they draw the line on the ratings. Like, you can't cut the cord, but you could show it.
It would have been funny if we heard Wolverine's claw pop and then saw the cord dropped off.
Maybe that was a missed opportunity.
I think it was. Because that would be the one up that he'd have over Scott. I cut the cord, he'd
with my claw.
In his face. Yeah. But so that was interesting, and then of course, while that's going on, crap hits the fan at the trial.
Yeah.
And everybody's attacked by the Friends of Humanity.
And we get the executioner.
Yeah, we do. And to the point where, Storm takes charge of the operation and convinces the authorities to let Magneto loose so he could help out. Storm actually intervenes when it looks like, was it Magneto that was going to get shot?
Yeah, Magneto was going to get shot.
And Storm
she
jumps in
takes
front
the
of him. Yeah, and she takes the bullet, subsequently losing her power. This enrages Magneto, and he basically has a moment where he could kill everybody involved in that was responsible, but chooses to spare them and says, "I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to honor Charles, because Charles at this point has left him in charge of the X-Men. So he's like, I'm trying to be better so that I could see through Charles' vision of a peaceful coexistence for humans and mutants." That was really powerful coming from Magneto.
The way that whole thing was done, like we, as a fan, okay, Magneto's about to do something.
Yeah, I thought he was going to kill them.
Right, we know how
like,
Magneto.
We just saw them cut the cord. I'm like, he's going to snap their neck.
I expected him to drop the executioner to his death.
I'm like, he's going to Zack Snyder this situation and just start neck snapping. Like,
he could have. That's what I expected him to do. But the speech that he gives is so much better, and the way the animation is handled, it looks really good, and you just totally buy it. And I believe it's the same voice actor from the original.
Yeah, I think so.
And he hasn't skipped a beat.
No. None of them have, really. It's impressive.
I really love that particular bit, though, the way he does not kill everybody.
And the beauty of it was that a lot of it was interlaid with it was all mixed in. It was interlaid with a speech by Storm.
Yeah.
Couple that with the music and then the visuals. Like, I was actually getting emotional. I'm like this is a cartoon, and
it's powerful stuff there.
Yeah, and I think that's just in general the strength of the X-Men, because they are dealing with heavier material.
Yeah, it's a superhero thing. They're wearing spandex. Wolverine runs around in yelling "bub" at people. Yeah. But at the heart of it, there's a lot going on with these characters and their world. Yeah. It's not just a simple they're going to fight the bad guy. There's more to it.
Yeah, I think more so than any Marvel character, they deal with the most weighty of subject matter.
Yeah, I go for that.
And so when you get moments like that and speeches like that coupled with the music, it will get you emotional. Whereas it would take, Aunt May or dying to get you to cry over something Spider-Man related, or Gwen. Like when Gwen like bit the bullet in Amazing 2. That scene got me, but it would take more. Like somebody would have to die in a Spider-Man movie or comic for me to start getting, and it had to be somebody intimately close to him, right?
Right.
For me to get me. Whereas with X-Men, it's easier to get me emotional, just because again they're dealing with a lot of weighty stuff. And issue 2, once Storm departs the team, because Beast basically says, "Look, with all my studies indicate that this could potentially be permanent." So she decides to leave the team because she's no longer a mutant, or she doesn't have her mutant abilities. And to complicate matters, they get a knock at the doorbell, and it's Jean Grey saying, "I need the X-Men," and before she faints. And that's how the episode ends. To which I was like, oh, this is interesting.
They this is from the first episode. They hit the ground running. Like, they were ready.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody expected them to, like, okay, because we'd seen the action figures already. The action figures have been on shelves for months.
Right.
But I know I didn't put together, oh, they're going to do this with Madeline. I
Yeah.
didn't. I thought
I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, I thought, okay, that's just going to exist. You know, this is something that happened. Maybe that's going to take from the last version of the show.
It needs intervening years. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. Oh no, we're going to see this full on, and the way it's handled, like I didn't know which gene was which. I don't know if you did.
I didn't either. But before we get into that, do you want to rate the first two episodes? Is there anything, or you want to go on screen?
I mean, if I'm going to rate them, but I'm biased right now.
So am I. I mean, it is.
They're getting 5 and 5 for me, top marks.
Well, yeah. So it's basically an A+ for me. Those first two episodes.
Yeah, A+, 5 for both of them.
The animation was great. The voiceover work.
And there's some I want to talk about it as a collection of all three of them when we're done too.
Yeah, we will. It was just like it was the perfect two episodes to the point where they were over. Keep in mind at this point it's almost 4 a.m. when I finished my time, because I'm an hour ahead of Chris. So it's almost 4 a.m, and I'm like, can they just drop the next one now? Because like I stay up and watch it. Like I had no shame in that. At that point, I'm like, the espresso's flowing. I'm up. I'm too amped to sleep.
I wanted to talk to everybody, but nobody. Nobody
I should have known you were still up, but I would have messaged you. I think I did, but you had only watched one episode at that point.
Yeah, I only seen the first one at that point.
So I was like, I can't tell him. But yeah, so it's an A+ for me, the first two episodes. So going into the third, you asked if I thought if I knew which one was the clone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were going to do the obvious thing. Here's what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to do the obvious thing, and the one that was at the door was the clone.
Right, that's what I thought too.
They did the opposite,
which I think was the way to go.
Yeah, but it really threw me for a loop because I'm like, so the Cable or the child that will become Cable is now
Madeline.
Technically not Scott and Jean's.
I mean, the schematics. It
is, but it's. I mean, I wish I could can we clone one of my multiverse wives so I can try this hocus pocus and see if it works, and if I can get away with it, like
if you find Nathaniel Essex, I think he'll help you out with
that. Can somebody clone I don't know, Margot Robbie or Alexa Bliss? I got a list of at least 52 women you could clone, so my multiverse wives list could become an actual reality. But I digress. But no, I agree that it was the more interesting and shocking way to go. But it left me with the scratching of my head aspect of, wait a minute, so technically this is not Jean Grey's child, but it is because they're clones. So
it's a weird gray area.
Where's Maury Povich when you need him? That's what I want to know.
I mean, I guess Sinister could be Maury Povich if you wanted him to.
Technically,
he could.
By the way, I got to circle back just to mention this because we forgot in the first episode. Magneto and Rogue, they've been up to some funny business.
I don't know.
In the intervening year, it seems like in the intervening years.
Well, yeah, before I guess.
Or before.
Yeah, I think it was before.
Not that I'm blaming Magneto, as if I was in this situation, but I'm just saying.
I like that they're including that. I really like that they're including that because for as long as Rogue has been in the show, or the series, the original version, I don't think she ever wavered from Gambit.
Yeah, no.
So it's cool to see this monkey wrench kind of thrown in there.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of uproar from people like, "What is this?" Like, there's versions of this, guys.
In the comics, yeah. It's not like they pulled it out of the rear end, yeah.
You guys might want to check out Age of Apocalypse, for example. You'll be really shocked if you read that.
And you know what was cool about that was they continued to play on it in the third episode.
I think it's going to be a big thing.
When they're trying to book the danger room in time.
Yeah, Morph.
And Morph sees, was it Morph screwing around with him? Or
I think it was Morph screwing around with it, yeah.
But all you see is Rogan Magneto. And
I think it was just Morph.
And yeah, because Wolverine says, "You're really getting to him." But you brought it up, the inclusion of Mr. Sinister in this episode. My God, that's a formidable villain.
Sinister is my favorite X-Men villain. And to see him back, and to see this version back, the real Mr. Sinister is what I'm going to call him. Because in the comics, he's become kind of a joke.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Sinister to me.
Right.
He was fantastic. It was so cool seeing him again.
But it was some creepy like crap going on. Like
when he puts the baby, like the view they give you of him putting the baby Nathan in the vat of liquid, I was like, what?
But even before that, like when he co-ops the baby monitor.
That was creepy. That was some horror story stuff.
That felt like a psychological horror show or movie.
Yeah, some horror movie things in there.
I'm like, this is legit creepy.
It was intense.
I mean, the only thing missing from making it a current horror movie is probably Sydney Sweeney being in it, but which I wouldn't be opposed to. But I digress.
I mean, she could be Jean.
Or what's her name? Emma Frost.
Ooh, I like that.
Or James Gunn could take my ideas and cast her as Power Girl because reasons. But I'll let James Gunn decide that without harassing him too much. Emphasis on too much, but it was just like I said, and then so that was creepy. But then it gets creepier when the X-Men are kind of start getting attuned to what's going on. And their worst fears kind of start manifesting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it looks like they're part of a scene of, and I think Beast even mentioned this, they're part of like Dante's Inferno.
To me, it reminded me of like if Sam Raimi were doing these visuals, that's what it was. They remind me so much of Sam Raimi's stuff.
Can you imagine Sam Raimi directing an X-Men movie with Mr. Sinister as the villain?
I kind of want it now. I didn't before. Like, I would have never thought about it, but, like, maybe I want that. Maybe that's what Raimi's MCU project should be, the X-Men.
I mean...
Just please leave Bruce Campbell out of it. For the love of everything. No more Papa Pizza or whatever the hell that was. Pizza, Papa...
Yeah, they gotta stop that. I mean...
I've had enough. But, yeah, the visuals...
You know what? I love how... Just a side note. James Gunn gets flack for putting people that he's worked with before in his movies. But when Bruce Campbell shows up in a Sam Raimi movie, nobody complains.
And his Pizza Papa. Come on. Is that what it's called? Pizza Papa?
I think so, yeah.
Whatever that was.
I guess it's a riff on Papa John's. They couldn't use, but I don't know, whatever.
Either way. But no, the visuals were really, really impressive. Particularly the Savage Land look at Rogue and Magneto. That was cool.
Yeah, that was some... The
melting. That was cool.
That was disturbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even Gambit's like, I'm not going to unsee that.
Well, even Madeline's transformation to the Goblin Queen.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool too. How everything is like a mental manifestation. That's neat.
And she was vicious and formidable.
Yeah. So the turn comes pretty quick, but I guess excuse me, once she's activated. I guess that's what that was.
Yeah.
So
and then you had that mental square off between Jean and Madeline.
Yeah.
Which was pretty like wild and trippy and cool.
I like them going back to certain moments, like Jean's friend getting killed and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Did not expect them to go that way.
And it just shows you, like, again, how like there's some serious adult things happening here.
And they respect the material.
There's a baby in jeopardy, for God's sake.
I did not expect them to show it the way they did. That's why, like, that shot of Sinister putting him in there was very dark, if you think about it.
Like, this poor kid's, again, I know enough X-Men lore to understand that eventually that's Cable. But
right.
In the moment, I'm like, the poor kid's going to drown. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's an animation.
I was like, is he drowning this kid? But at the same time, I had two thoughts about this. Maybe I'll save one for when we talk a little bit more, but some of the X-Men reacted like they'd never met Sinister before. Did you get that vibe from it?
I did get that vibe. That was a little awkward.
Yeah, I was like, they had some huge battles with this guy. Like, you remember the episode from the original series where Cyclops takes chunks out of Sinister's body.
Yeah.
With the blasts.
I wonder if maybe they're like just cherry picking parts of the past show that they want to keep and discard.
It could be, or maybe it's just so for a new audience so that they don't get lost. Not to have these kind of like, Sinister, you screwed us over before.
Yeah, go back and watch 45 episodes into,
And that could be it, but that kind of threw me off because, like, you guys know who he is. Even Beast. Like, we know who he is. Not a bad thing. It's just something that's...
It was really cool to see Beast get in the action.
Yes.
Now, the only issue I have, and I love all the voice actors, but did you have this problem as well? Every time Beast spoke, I expected now to hear Kelsey Grammer, and I didn't, and I was kind of freaked out by it.
No, to me, this is Beast.
Like, I had to recalibrate my brain to be like, okay, this is the original Beast. Get back into it.
I also think Beast and Kelsey Grammer's Beast sound so similar.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that was intentional or it just happened that way.
Well, I think it was intentional on the part of the people who cast Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, they sound so similar. It doesn't bother. It's just.
I just need to. You know what will solve this problem? Just have Beast in the cartoon at some point. Tell somebody he's listening, and then I'll be good.
That will work. The only voice actor that was noticeable to me, like I thought, hey, that doesn't sound right, was Rogue. Rogue sounds less Southern to me.
Maybe she slipped up in the accent.
Maybe, and that's fine too.
It's the same actress, but
actually, I read that the actress for her and Wolverine had to re-audition, which I thought was interesting. I guess to make sure they could still do it.
Probably.
In the case of Rogue, she does sound a little bit different, but I'm not upset by it. I kind of like that they toned it down.
It's not that much. Yeah, it's not that much of a difference. Maybe it's a personal choice. Maybe they're like, yeah, just tone it down a notch.
Yeah, I think it works. So I'm not upset.
If I'm correct in this assessment, I think she's a Canadian politician at this point.
Rogue?
Yeah, the voice actor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. I was thinking like Rogue.
Not the character, but I mean that would be cool. But
she may be.
But I think she's a Canadian politician at this point as well, which is kind of funny.
That that is interesting.
She's also doing this, but. And then, of course, like you said, the visualization of the mental struggle between the two, at this point, the two genes. And what was really interesting to me is the whole discussion of, well, which one experienced which memories.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, because we don't...
we don't know. We don't know, right? That's the...
I kind of don't want to know. I don't know about you. I don't want to know. I like the idea that it's going to stay ambiguous.
Yeah, I would hope so.
And I also don't want them to figure out when the switch was. Yeah. That, to me, makes it more interesting. Like, you really don't know which one was the Phoenix, which one did this, or, that's a cool aspect.
Right. Right.
And Madeline, I'm sure, will return. I would think.
Probably. Yeah.
She has an action figure, so.
Probably. Um, what a really interesting portion was the fact that there was at one point Wolverine helps to, focus and center Jean's thoughts.
Yeah.
But she's like look into my mind, like focus on me. When she realizes how much Wolverine cares for her, to the point where she breaks down into tears, I'm like, oh, there's going to be a triangle here now, because the kid's gone into the future. Spoiler: Bishop takes him into the future to get cured from his technovirus. So the kid's out of the way. I think Scott's going to have a hard time with. I don't think they're going to explore anything with like Jean getting together with Wolverine, but I think the tension's going to be there, just because. Like I said, I think there's going to be issues between Jean and Scott with them trying to reconcile how much of our relationship was I actually here for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which Jean did you really love, right?
It would be a shame if they don't do that, because the way it's set up, and I think it'd be easy to write it up as, oh, it's a cartoon, they don't need to do that. This isn't a standard cartoon, I think. Because
sorry, the other little spoiler why I think they're going to play with this is because in the X-Men 97 prequel issue number 1, mm-hmm. they show you the scene where Jean reveals that she's pregnant.
Oh, cool.
And Wolverine hears, like, he's around the corner and hears the reveal, the conversation. And, like, you can see, like, the man's heart be ripped out of his chest. And I'm like, this poor SOB, he can't catch a break. So I think they are going to play with it.
I hope they do, because I think the X-Men series, both the original and this one, the original we know, they dealt with adult themes anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolverine goes berserk on their wedding day.
Yeah.
So I assume they're going to follow suit here. But what I want to see is, or not what I want to see, but I'm curious if we will see is her leaning more toward Wolverine, just because there's going to be friction, like you said.
Yeah.
Which Jean was with me during all this?
Yeah. Whereas,
and then I mean, the conversation go, well, it's still Jean. She has the memory, so it's still her.
I get it, but I mean, sure, that'll work for Scott, right? That rationalization will work for Scott, but I think Jean's going to have more of an issue with that.
I think Scott will too, though. I think that this is going to be a very interesting storyline. They're setting up some good stuff here. But
and also, like, Jean made the decision because Scott had trouble with giving up his son because he didn't want to be an absentee father like his father was to him.
Yeah. And like, Jean could have left and Madeline could have stayed.
Right.
So the choice was made there.
Yeah.
You mentioned the technovirus.
Yeah.
It looked like the legacy virus to me, which was another thing I was wondering about. Like, you guys have seen the legacy virus. Why are we acting like this is a new thing? Yeah.
No, but they made it very. You know what it reminded me? It reminded me a bit of. In Masters of the Universe Revolution.
What do you mean?
The virus, the way the virus presents itself.
Oh, yeah. Similar.
It kind of reminded me of the when Skeletor was being taken over by the.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like.
I'm like, there's some similarities there.
Yeah. To me, it just looked like Legacy Virus, and I was thinking, well, last time Wolverine just kind of took it on, and, you know.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we'll, at some point down the line.
Which was also created by Sinister, actually.
Right. I think, yeah, you're right about that. At some point down the line, I think we'll see Cable.
Yes, I do too.
And that's going to be interesting.
Very. Are you my mother? No. Where's my mother?
Kind of, sort of, but
Yeah,
not really.
I mean, I am, but I'm not.
But yeah, it's pretty obvious why that guy, why he's so screwed up.
And why his name is Nathan. It's very clear now.
Yeah.
Which I guess I never thought about that in the comics. But yeah, that's why he's named Nathan, I guess.
Yeah.
Madeline is the clone, and
yeah,
like her father's technically Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel.
Yeah. So it's gonna be some interesting stuff. But yeah, that episode, like, to me, there's no drop off in quality between the first two and the third.
No, if anything, it gets better because we get deeper into the stories.
Like, usually with most shows, be them live action or animation, you have your pilot, which is really strong, right? And then the next episode there's a little bit of a drop off because all the focus and money and everything else is put into that first episode.
Got to make it work
to make sure that people come back. Something. This one. Listen, they knew they had the audience in the bag, and we're like, let's just go.
This has got a built-in audience, I think. Firstly, the built-in audience. Secondly, animation on Disney Plus is just a win.
Yeah.
And people, I think that people underestimate the popularity of the X-Men, and I don't just say that because I'm a fan. But the X-Men, there's so many characters, you will find one that you like.
Yeah. There's something for you,
Yeah, there's something for everybody here, whether you're a big Wolverine fan, Cyclops, Jean, maybe you just like Storm, which I think Storm's a badass.
Oh, she's a bad... And also, spoilers, she's on the road to getting her powers back.
And I'm so excited to see how they do this, how they handle it, because it happened in the comics, too. I'm excited to see how this is handled.
And by the way, they do address, in the prequel comic, why her look is so different.
I just figured she wanted a haircut.
There's slightly more, and it's not that deep, but there's slightly more to it than that.
Okay, I'm going to read the comic in a bit.
Like I said, it's not deep. It's not, nothing that you have to read layers of mythology to figure out why. But it's kind of cool.
I just thought it was because Mohawk Storm is badass. That's just kind of what I thought.
It looks badass for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they would put her in the black. Well, I guess it's kind of too retro, but like the black '80s outfit she used to wear with the mohawk.
I dig that.
I think that'd be really cool. I mean, she kind of has that when she's depowered now.
Maybe they will at some point.
Also, I could have sworn we'd seen Forge before.
I thought so, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, now I'm curious. I'm almost positive we saw Forge in an X-Men costume.
I thought so.
So maybe you're right. Maybe they are cherry picking.
I think they are, just to kiss. And again, for fans like us that are long-standing fans of the original series and wouldn't mind the callbacks, like, it makes sense to kind of streamline it because you want to attract. Look, a lot of this is to appeal to the old school fan base, for sure.
I think it's a 50-50.
But in doing that, they also want to attract new viewers. Not only for just this animated series, but to set the stage for the live action entry.
The onslaught of mutants.
Of the X-Men, right? Like, this is a good primer for eventually these guys are going to be in the MCU.
And they could be even like testing the waters, saying, okay, well, which characters are people liking? Because, for example, I could totally see, and I really hope we don't get Mystique and we get Morph instead. Cause I've always loved Morph.
Morph is cool, yeah.
And I like this version a lot, especially with the when he's just like his full mutant form has no. He has a face, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I like that he's just whatever. He's like a blob. That's cool. Yeah. Like Clayface. You like Clayface?
Yeah. He's kind of a mix between Clayface and Metamorpho.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. And then when he's in public, okay, I look like the Morph from the animated series.
Yeah, because he is a little bit.
And I love the tie they had to Morph. Because like some people remembered Sinister clearly.
Yeah. See,
but then others,
like I said, I think they're cherry picking.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think that's okay.
How deep they want to go with the callbacks.
But the callbacks. That's another thing about the callbacks. There are some, but they're not so in your face to where like even us who I haven't watched the series in its entirety in a long time, but I still catch everything. I'm good with it. So for a new viewer, it's perfect for them because they'll get it right off the bat. It's something new.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the things through all 3 episodes that stand out to me more than all the amazing action they put in the show, the character beats. I can't say enough about how well those are done.
I agree. Everybody's just pitch perfect.
And they get their time.
Yeah. I don't feel like anybody's gotten shortchanged.
No, this is the X-Men. It's not the Wolverine show. It's not the Cyclops and Jean soap opera. Yeah. And there's even that cool moment between Magneto and Cyclops right before Jean Grey comes bursting in the mansion at the end.
Oh, yeah, when they're having a coffee or a tea or whatever.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Like a casual, everyday thing. Here, have a coffee.
Yeah, maybe put some sleeves on, too. That'd be cool for everybody.
Yeah, I like, who's he think he is? The Rock, the final boss version of The Rock with his sleeveless
he's pretty ripped for an animated 80-year-old man.
Hey, if he starts swearing and telling people that, then we'll start talking final boss routine.
Where's Mama LeBeau?
Yeah. Oh, God, no, I want to see that.
Mama LeBeau, look at your boy.
The women with the Mama LeBeau belt and the Magneto logo.
Throwing beignets at him.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Oh, you know what? This is what I wanted to mention. One of the best character moments, in my opinion, is I think it's in the first episode in the basketball court when Wolverine tells Cyclops, the worst thing about Charles being gone? You.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they kept them intact.
That was great. Yeah, their relationship is very much on point, and very true to what we've come to know.
And what I want. I like when because they're not Batman and Superman. Cyclops and Wolverine, they have understandings. Like they're friends, but they will tear each other apart when they want to.
I think on some level there's respect there, but they fundamentally disagree.
Yes, and I think that's important because like Batman and Superman, they agree. That's why they work.
I mean, maybe Superman thinks Batman is a little excessive at times, but it's nothing so egregious that Superman would be like, "Hey, listen, don't make me think twice. I'll take you out." Whereas, I fully believe that if Wolverine went too far, or if Scott was going too far, the other one would take the other person out. And
it's happened.
Yeah.
It's happened in some comic arcs. It's happened on the show before.
Yeah.
Scott is a more understanding of the two, so he knows, okay, Logan just being Logan, whereas Wolverine doesn't get that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So it's a different dynamic, and I'm glad that it's being portrayed that way.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that you think we should before we rate this one?
The battle between Scott and Madeline.
Yeah.
I like that a lot because it's what I expected, but then it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I thought Scott would eventually have to knock her out or something, but he refused to. I like that aspect of it. I like that she was unstoppable.
When she made him bleed and then kissed him, it's like, okay, it's getting a little...
That was interesting.
A little freaky.
She was unstoppable. That was neat. Of course, I love the Sinister stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that covers it, I think.
Yeah, I think
well, the opening. We haven't mentioned it yet.
The opening credits, you mean?
The opening credits, they recreated them beautifully. I don't even know why it says skip intro.
Yeah. Let me get this. Listen, if anybody from Disney Plus is listening, 90% of your programming, I'll skip the intro.
Mm-hmm.
For this show, just take it off. Don't even make it be an option.
Don't need it.
There's no way I'm skipping the intro.
Mm-mm. No.
It's stupid. It's stupid to even ask.
How dare you?
Like I think, for example, same scenario. Batman the Animated Series, I think, is on Netflix here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the option of, because we don't have HBO Max here, or Max, or whatever the hell it's called now.
Max.
Uh, um, and they have skip intro. Why? I'm not going to, there's no way I'm going to skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop asking me. So, take it off. Just remove it. Don't even present it as an option. It's embarrassing that it's even an option.
It's like a rite of passage. You watch the intro before the episode.
Yeah, it's part of the routine.
It's Saturday morning. That's what we had to do as kids. We're going to do it now.
I used to, I mean, not with this show, but because I was older. Well, hold on, wait a minute. The first iteration of this show was what, 93?
That was 92, 93, something like that.
Yeah, so I was 9 or 10. I occasionally dabbled in milk and cookies even back then, but let's take it a little further. When I used to watch reruns of Batman 66
Mm-hmm.
at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after school, when I was like 5 or 6, and I used to have milk and cookies, as a snack while I was watching. And the theme song came on with the animated opening. There wasn't an option to fast forward, but if there was, I wouldn't have taken it. It's part of the fun.
It is. With these shows, it is.
Yeah, leave it alone. Don't ask. Just stop wasting time having that graphic come on the screen, offering to skip the intro. It's not going to happen. And if you do skip, if you're one of the people that skips the intro, I don't know who you are, but your priorities are all over the place, out of whack.
I don't think you need that 30 seconds.
And I don't support your behavior, wherever you are. I just throw that right out there. Your choice, reevaluate your choices, sir or madam, because they're wrong. But yeah, it's a perfect opening. One of the best animated intros of all time, and it still holds up.
It holds up beautifully.
With that, let's go and letter grade this episode. So, what would you give it?
It's A+. I can't help it.
Agreed. It's going to take a lot. Listen, it's going to take a major screw up for us to downgrade our grades massively throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope that doesn't happen. Because I hope the quality continues.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot and they're off to such a great start that I just can't see it, devolving into a mess. So the third episode was also an A+ for me. I loved it, and I'm glad to have, quote unquote, our X-Men back. It's so nice to be home again, where the X-Men are concerned. We'll be back for the next. I think we're going to do this in threes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back after episode 6 to discuss the latest batch, and then at some point along the way, probably once it's over, we will review the X-Men 97 prequel comic. So stay tuned for that as well. But in the meantime, if you want to chat with either myself or Chris regarding the X-Men, you can on social media. Chris, where do they find you?
You guys can follow me at thatChrisEvan0 on Twitter. You could also follow the show I do with my buddy Emmett Davis at G of the Geeks, and my DC thing with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso over at DC Unlimited Pod.
Indeed. You can follow me at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. You can follow the Facebook group. The link is in the description below. Click that. I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there if you so choose. Until next time, remember, the animated X-Men are forever. From the first time Wolverine pops his claws to the last. So long, everybody.